Hello, welcome to my reading of The Perfect Move, my debut book. It's a mystery thriller, and I'm going to wait. It says, try another way, go on live. No, I'm okay. So let's see, am I on? Does anyone see me? A little early, so I'm not sure. Is anyone here? I think I'm live. Okay, I'll just wait a little bit to see if anyone is here. Okay, so far I don't know. Terza, I want to thank you so much for having this opportunity, allowing me to have this opportunity to reach your readers and your followers. Oh, I see one set of eyes are there. Hello, set of eyes. Say hello to me. Let me know in the comments that you're, who you are. And so I could say hello. I'll give you a shout out. I'm here to read from you from my book. It's The Perfect Move. And I'm very excited about it. It was released just this past Friday, and it's been doing very well. And I think that it is the perfect beach read. It's great for the summer. It's great for when you're just hanging out and wanting to just enjoy a quick, fun mystery thriller that will surprise you in the end, filled with a lot of twists and turns. I see I have 2 people watching. With me, that makes 3. So all eyes are on us. What I think I'll do today is I will discuss the book a little bit, read the back of the book, the blurb on the back of the book, that so you can get an idea of what the book is about. And then I will explain to you maybe some little tidbits, some interesting things. Since you're here, I think it would be nice for me to give you a little insider information into how my mind works, what makes me tick. And so what I'll do is I'll try to go into how I came up with, the cover and also how I laid out the book. So I'm just waiting a little bit more, to see if there's anyone else out there. I don't want anyone to miss out. I am a little early. Let me see what time it is. It's 3 minutes to 1, so we'll just wait a few more minutes. As I said before, I'll just, give you a little bit of information about myself. My name is Elisa Klinger. I am from the United States, and I know that a lot of you are from Europe, so it's probably around 7 o'clock there, 6, 7 o'clock. So I know it's getting late. It's dinner time. Here it's lunchtime, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm in sunny Florida. I grew up, if you can tell from my accent, I grew up in New York. And this book takes place in New York on Long Island. And Long Island is divided into 2 counties. There's Nassau County and Suffolk County. And most of this book takes place in actually the border of Nassau and Suffolk County, but I think you would consider it Nassau County. It takes place on the Gold Coast of Long Island, which was in the 1920s, all your very ultra wealthy people built their summer homes there. And this part of the cover, a little secret, part of the cover has a castle. It's called Oheka Castle. In my book, I refer to it as Malt's Mansion, but it was a 1920s home of Otto Herman Kahn, and an acronym made up his name. Otto Herman Kahn made up Oheka, and it's known as Oheka Castle, and it's around today. It was restored and brought back to its former glory by the Milius family, who were very kind and gave me tours of the grounds and the castle itself. And so I was able to incorporate a lot of the nice, interesting, fascinating, and intriguing details of the castle into the story. So it made for the story to be even more intriguing and exciting because it has, inspiration from an actual place. The eyes are there to give you an idea that there is something mysterious going on. So I think that will be an understanding of how the cover works. What I did do, and some of you might be aware who are watching, because if you're on Terza's bookstore, then you might have come across, I had a countdown that I did for the release of the book. And so I did it for 12 days, and I did this countdown called the Perfect Move Challenge. And what I did was I took the book and I put it in front of my eyes, and I took a picture like this. And that's the Perfect Move Challenge, to challenge yourself to see, can you make the eyes look like they're really your eyes? And I think I do a great job of doing it most times. And the response to this was great. I've been receiving so many wonderful Perfect Move challenges from my readers that it's so much fun to see how they position the eyes. And of course, I've been posting them on my Instagram. You can reach me and contact me and follow me on Instagram. My Instagram page is Follow My Writing Journey. It's a little long, and so I'll put it in the comments after this, so you'll have it, and you could look me up there, and you would be able to see the Perfect Move Challenge and see the 12 challenges that were taken. There were a variety of faces, and it was a fun challenge that continues today. So if you do decide to pick up my book, The Perfect Move, then I would love for you to send me your Perfect Move challenge. I will also leave in the comments, I will leave for you a link tree, which will give you all the links, all my contact information, my Facebook page, my website, along with my how to get the book on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, pretty much any online retailer should have my book available for you to purchase. What I'm going to do now, I'm looking to see, it's a little after 1, so I think what I'll do is I will start with reading the blurb in the back so you can kind of get an idea of what the book is about. Okay, so we'll start with When the Peril of the Perfect Move. Oh my God, I said when the promise of the perfect move leads to peril. Moving out of New York City into Long Island's upscale suburban community, Gold Coast Estates, is everything new mom Hope Klein ever imagined. A dream come true. The exclusive Gold Coast community is situated on a subdivision of the formerly grand 1920s estate on Long Island. The magnificent Maltz Mansion sits on top of the hill, looming above the mini mansions of the modern day rich, as a beacon of the grandeur of Long Island's past wealth. Hope enjoys getting to know her neighbors, a professional football player, a Holocaust survivor, a Huntington's disease victim, and a groundbreaking researcher. Each becomes special to her. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to Hope, there's a pair of eyes set on her, watching her every move. When a dead body is discovered in the affluent neighborhood, Hope's perfect world is turned upside down. Was it suicide, an accident, or murder? Hope is determined to find out. Never underestimate the tenacity of a stay-at-home mom. If she's not careful, she might find herself the next victim. So that's the premise of the story. Now, what I decided to do was, when I was coming up with the cover for the book, I was very, very fortunate. I had an excellent graphic designer. Her name is Dominique Dragoon, and she's out of San Francisco. I'm going to also leave her information on the comments. She was fantastic. She gave me 6 covers to choose from, and it was between this one and another one that I really liked. The other one that I liked showed a female character, the protagonist, running away from the castle, and I liked that one as well. And what I ended up doing with her, we collaborated, was we decided that it would be interesting to create a book that was told, a story that was told in 3 parts. So what we did is we used actually one of the covers, that second cover that I liked, within the 3 parts. So what we did was we divided it where you first, when you're reading, the first one you will see, if I can find it, is where it says, "Welcome to Gold Coast Estates, meet the neighbors." So it's almost like your Hope, and you're going to meet all of the characters, all of the neighbors, all of the potential suspects. Then what ends up happening is you get to the second part of the book, and the second part of the book is when, dun 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 dun, tragedy strikes. Something happens, and the neighbors, one or more, might be involved. And then finally we get to the last part of the book, and the last part of the book, if I can find it here, it's coming up, is Good Intentions, Deadly Consequences. This is the one that I had spoke just a few moments about, that shows the main protagonist, possibly, just a woman, we don't identify her, running away from something, running away from somewhere. And so it's a story told in 3 parts, and it has lovely graphics. She did a wonderful job on those for me as well. And I think you will enjoy it. What I would also like to do is, I think is very, I'd like to share with you, is I would like to share with you the page where I have a quote. You know, a lot of the books have an inspirational quote or something to give you a little more inkling into what the story you're about to read entails, or is, so you can have some expectations. And what it says is we must be careful not to believe things simply because we want them to be true. No one can fool you, I love this, as easily as you can fool yourself. And this is a physicist named Richard Feynman, and he couldn't be more true. You know, we love to fool ourselves into believing certain things. And I thought it was the perfect quote that, you know, as you're reading this, you know, that you have to be careful not to just believe things are true and fool yourself. And so I think I capture that, and I think when get to the end of the book, I think you'll have that aha moment and that twist. So what I'll do now is I don't have any questions just yet, so what I will do is I will go into some further things that I've done with the book as far as formatting it and creating it. I included chapter titles, if you can see. This is the prologue, which I think I'm going to read to you as well shortly to give you a flavor of how it begins. And this one is titled, the chapter is titled Lies, Secrets, and Danger. And I think that gives you an inkling of some kind of an expectation of what you're about to read. Then we get to part 1, and the first chapter, chapter 1, after the prologue, that title is Hope Arrives. And it shows you here 8 months prior. So when I read to you in the prologue, something is happening, and then it raises your awareness, like what is going on here? And then I take you back to the beginning. And then I'll just go, you know, just randomly pick out, you know, another title so you can get an idea. Sweet and Bittersweet Memories, The Dwarf's Cottage, The Old Statue Liberty play, which is cute because, you know, I'm from New York, but it's a football play, so it doesn't have to only be in New York. Then we have Gambler Extraordinaire. We have The Invitation. And I'll go further in the book that says, oh, is someone there? And I'll do just maybe one more. Let's see. A Romantic Night at Malt's Mansion. So there's a bunch of, each one has a title, and each one gives you a little inkling of what's to come. Another thing I did with the book, it's a mystery thriller, and I love reading James Patterson. And what James Patterson, I learned from him, is that he likes to do cliffhanger endings. He does these short chapters with a very exciting cliffhanger that you just want to flip the page again to read the next chapter. And so that's what I did. I hope I accomplished where you're reading the chapter. It's a short chapter, and at the very end of that chapter, it is a cliffhanger, and then you go on to the next chapter. So I hope I do that. What I'll do now is read the prologue for you and see what your thoughts are. If anyone is out there, to let me know. I will read the prologue, which says, Lies, Secrets, and Danger. Hope placed her hand to her mouth, fighting back her urge to throw up. It isn't every day you find yourself hiding from a killer in a mansion. When Hope moved into Gold Coast Estate, she fantasized about visiting the mansion that towered on top of the hill. She envisioned strolling the beautifully landscaped grounds, eating delicious delicacies, and sipping fine wine from the mansion's private stock. Never did she imagine herself lying beside wine bottles, hiding in a wooden bench in the mansion's wine cellar. Hope remained still, motionless, as her eyes were fixated on the photo she held in her right hand. You think you know a person, thought Hope, struggling to make sense of everything that just had unfolded. She shook her head. How did I not see it? I trusted you. Quietly, she put the photo in her back pocket. How did it get this far? The hairs on the back of Hope's neck raised. Her body tingled when she heard footsteps approaching. A voice called out, "There's no reason to run from me. I just want to talk." Hearing the footsteps getting closer, she put her hand to her chest to keep her heart from popping out. Hope's body tightened. She prayed that she wouldn't clank any of the bottles, or worse, break one. As the sound of approaching footsteps moved ever closer, suddenly she heard a thump on top of her. This is it. It's all over, she thought. The pounding continued against the entire bench. Did you find? Oh, let's see. I lost my train of thought. Okay. On the top of the bench, Hope's pursuer climbed over the bench cushions, rushing over to the open window. She heard the voice shouting out the open window. "You can run, Hope, but you won't get far." "Did you find her?" asked an annoyed voice entering the wine cellar from the other side. "I knew I should have stayed with you when you talked with her. Looks like she snuck out the window." "How much does she know?" asked the angry voice, taking a seat at the table. "She knows everything." "Then shouldn't we be going after her? We can't let her go to the police." "She won't get far." "How can you be so sure?" The pursuer's lips rose with pride. "I spiked her drink with ketamine. It should be kicking in about now." Hope's brow line creased and her eyes bulged out. "I've been drugged?" Hope did her best to control her movements. The slightest pang of the bottle would reveal her location. "This is a big mess. We better go find her. I'll start at the back end of the mansion. We can put her in with the other unwelcome guest." "That makes 2 unwelcome guests I have to contend with, thanks to you." The pair got up and separately exited the way they entered. Hope gasped, then forced herself to settle down. She glanced over at her left hand, which was still holding the black leather necklace with 3 charms dangling. "They took you. I knew you would have never have left without telling me." Hearing the door shut, Hope waited a few moments before leaving the security of the bench. She felt a bit woozy. Was the ketamine kicking in? How much time did she have before she blacked out? Hope wasn't sure how many people would be looking for her. She had to figure a way of getting out of the mansion undetected and before she succumbed to the drugs. Her mind was already starting to become dazed and confused. Realizing that the second pursuer's voice entered from the other side of the wine cellar, Hope deduced there must be another way out. She remembered that the mansion had hidden passageways the servants used to get around unnoticed. There must be a door that the servants used to gain access to the cellar. This pathway would be the perfect way out of the mansion, if only she knew where it was. Hope went deeper into the wine cellar, seeking any sign of a door. Passing the Pinot Noirs, she saw nothing. Moving on, she rushed up and down the Zinfandel aisles. Still no door. Finally, Hope smiled as she got to the Chardonnays. At the very end of the aisle was a narrow wooden door. Once through, she descended down a stairway. Arriving at the bottom, she adjusted her eyes to the darkness. Her vision was starting to blur. Time was running out. She proceeded through the long, narrow hallway that stretched roughly 20 yards, then turning out of sight toward the left. Hope raced as fast as she could, trying her best to keep her balance, which was becoming more difficult with each step. Hope's stomach turned. She heard something. Was there someone trailing behind her? She wasn't going to wait to find out. Hope kept moving. She was certain that this was the pathway that would lead to her way out. I must be close. A few feet away, she saw a beam of light, a light at the end of the tunnel. Unfortunately, she could not go any further. A woozy hope collapsed mid-step. Then everything went black. And that's where I leave it. And I hope that's a good cliffhanger, that you want to know, why is this person Hope? Why is the protagonist in a wine cellar hiding? And who is she hiding from? So I hope that you enjoyed my reading. What I will do is there was any questions. Let's see what time it is. We still have some time. I wanted to speak for about 30 minutes. We've been on for about 15. So since there are no questions, maybe what I would do is just talk about my journey as being a writer, and hopefully inspire writers that are going to watch this to keep persisting. I started this journey about roughly, a year and a half, 2 years ago, and it is a very difficult journey. And I think what I would recommend, and I heard this quote, was that the only difference between a published author and a writer, a novice writer, is the ability to persist, the ability to not quit. And if there's anything that you get out of this, talk today, is that if I could get it done and persist with all of the obstacles that were in the way, and we can always do a chat about that, because every book, every writer finds there's going to be obstacles. And as long as you persist and keep moving forward and get it out there, then that's the only difference between a published author and a writer. So that, I think, is those words I'd like to share with you today. There are some other things I'd like to share as far as the process. Picking out a title. I picked out the title, The Perfect Move. I felt it had a mystique to it. What is perfect? I think the word perfect is a fun word to use. And I like the idea of move, because as I read to you in the blurb, the protagonist is moving away from New York City, and she is going to the nice community, suburban community on Long Island. And she believes it's the perfect move. But what about some of the other characters? Are they made the perfect move there? And what moves have they made? Are they perfect? So I think it has a double meaning. And what is the perfect move? So I like the idea of perfect and move. So I think that's good, and I hope that you like it. Another interesting thing is that when people are looking for a book, a lot of times you want it to not be such a complex and difficult title. There are other times that people do a title that is one of the character names, like The Great Gatsby, right? It's a character in the book. Speaking of The Great Gatsby, which is one of my favorite Fitzgerald books, another interesting tidbit since you came to listen to my book chat is that this castle that inspired me, Ohika Castle, inspired F. Scott Fitzgerald as well. He used to go back in the 1920s to parties that they had here that Otto Herman Kahn threw, and he was fascinated by them. They were so grand and amazing. I mean, they had circuses there. They had these elaborate, prohibition, bootleg, liquor parties and stuff. And he included that aspect that inspired him in Great Gatsby book. Another thing about The Great Gatsby that kind of stuck with me was I love the cover of The Great Gatsby. And interestingly enough, so did F. Scott Fitzgerald. Now, F. Scott Fitzgerald saw the cover before he even finished his book. And what was interesting was he was fascinated with the eyes that the creator of the cover did, his designer. And he incorporated that into his story. And so I'm also very fascinated with the eyes. And then Domini was able to incorporate an eye appearance in the book. I think there's something very, very mysterious and very exciting about the eyes. I hope you agree. In the comments, you'll let me know. And so I think it led for a very exciting and fascinating cover. I also put in the book some Easter eggs so that when you're reading, you'll find out that I included things that after you've read, you'll recognize. One, for example, I will show you on the back of the book. This is a symbol, a charm, and when you read the book, you'll learn more about it and its significance. So that's an Easter egg. Dan Brown puts Easter eggs on some of his book covers. That is very interesting. If you go to my Instagram page, I did a whole bunch of Easter eggs that authors have put on either on their front cover or inside their book. Dan Brown has done several, and one is on the Da Vinci Code. It's very, very interesting. So again, I recommend going to my Instagram page, follow my writing journey, and as I said before, I will put down in the comments. Another aspect of my book, I run several themes through my book. I run the theme of friendship, I run the theme of love, I run the theme of survival, and I run the theme about a disease that is monstrous that I want to do a spotlight on. It's called Huntington's disease. And one of the characters is tragically stricken with this Huntington's disease, and what she is going through and what she will be going through is in the book as well. And one aspect that comes out is a song that is very special to her, that she fears in time she will ultimately forget, even though she doesn't want to forget, because one of the symptoms of this terrible, horrific disease is loss of memory. It's also loss of movement, loss of speech, loss of control, of movement. And one of the things is a song called You Are My Sunshine. And many of you might enjoy the You Are My Sunshine song, be familiar with it. I'm going to put my book down and keep on holding it. And it was special to me too, and that's one of the reasons I put it in. My father sang it to me, and I sang it to my boys, my two wonderful boys. And I'm lucky to have those boys, because I have one that helps me with the writing and one that helps me with the tech. Because I'm an old lady and figuring out this tech, I'm only worried that I'm not even on right now. I hope I'm on. If anyone is here watching, please just write in the comments. I hear you. But this is You Are My Sunshine. So I have this necklace to remind me about the song, and it says You Are My Sunshine in it. I also have a beautiful box, a music box, which again, I will put how I got these few items if you like them in the comments. But it's the You Are My Sunshine. It opens up and it says You Are My Sunshine in it. And let me play for you a little bit. Let's see. When skies are gray, dim, sunshine away. We'll start from the beginning. Sunshine. So such a lovely thing, and I really do adore it. One last and final thing before I probably will wrap it up, because we've been on for almost 25 minutes, almost 30 minutes, is I wanted to let you know that in addition to getting the book inside the book, and also I'll put it in the comments, I created a book kit that you can use whether you read the book by yourself or you're in a book club. This book lends itself very well for a book club book. It's a fast read, it's an interesting read, and it has, as I said, a lot of themes and a lot of discussion questions that are morally and ethical kind of questions get raised. And what I did was I created a book kit that had a lot of these discussion questions for you to provide for the club. And also there are a lot of interesting recipes that I included, because some of the characters are cooking some interesting foods that I thought you might enjoy the recipes. They're from my mother and grandma passed down to me, so that's interesting. And I do some interesting facts, because I did a lot of research for the book, and a lot of it is in the book, but then there were some things that I just didn't put in that I thought that would be interesting in the book kit. So in the book kit has a lot of these fascinating, very interesting tidbits of information. I like to call it cocktail talk. When you're at a cocktail party and you just don't know anybody and you want to start a conversation. And so I have these very interesting little tidbits that I had researched about the different themes that were in the book, about Huntington's disease, about Ohika Castle, about gambling, about these different things even medical information that I have, DNA and things of that nature, science related, with the Huntington's disease. So there's a lot of things in the book kit. You can subscribe to my website, on my web page. Again, I'll put down in the links in the comments below that you can contact me through my web page. And on my web page, it says to subscribe. And if you subscribe, I will send you the book kit. So that will be something to consider. If there's no other questions, I really enjoyed my reading with you and sharing some of my thoughts with you. Again, I know it's hard because of the time difference. So if anyone has any questions, I will try to post this onto YouTube. And I thank Tersa for, having me on her channel here. And I will put this all this information down. I thank you so very much and have a great day.